On today's edition of the Locked On Eagles podcast, we're going to get into multiple comments from Eagles players who say they prefer to play on the road in the playoffs. What do we think about that? Plus an injury report and an injured Jalen Hurts. How hurt is that hand heading into Monday night's wildcard matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? All that and more on this Friday edition of the Locked On Eagles podcast.
You are Locked On Eagles, your daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Episode of the Locked On Eagles podcast is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use our promo code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. We thank you so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm Louis DiBiase, joined as always by Gino Camilleri, our second last episode before Eagles Buccaneers on Monday Night Football in the wild card round of the 2023-2024 NFL playoffs. Got a lot to get into today, Gino, and players continue to make headlines because they just will not stop saying things that do not sit well with fans, the media, and even sometimes other players. And it's continuing to kill the vibe. And we've got some comments from listeners about how negative the show's been this week heading into the postseason. And while it's true, it's been negative, I think it's very justified. And we're trying to be positive and we want to have hope and get excited for this game. But then you have, Darius Slay yesterday making comments about how, they prefer to be on the road right now because they don't want to get booed in Philadelphia. Like, are you expecting it to get booed? You don't want home field advantage? It's just, I don't know. This team is not very likable right now heading into the playoffs. It's the least excited I've been for a Eagles postseason since I'd say 2009 when they got blown out by the Cowboys and they had to go right back to Jerry World in the McNabb air guitar game. That's probably the last time I felt this way heading into the playoffs with almost little to no excitement.
I've never known a game was over quicker than I did when Donovan McNabb came out of the tunnel.
When he did the air guitar and pounded on that glass at Jerry World, I'm like, oh, we're going to get destroyed.
Yeah, this game's far from we don't stand a chance at all. But I get the point of not wanting to be negative, but I also get the point of having to be real. And the reality is they've been a poor football team. And frankly, they've lost 5 out of the last 6 games. 2 of them were to very good teams. 1 of them was to an average team and 2 were to very bad teams. So what does that give you? A team going into the playoffs that has to take on Tampa Bay, who their starting quarterback didn't practice. So we'll see what happens on Monday night. And then after that, Lou, it's like, if you get past this game, that's where it gets really frightening. Like, I get the expectation it's a 4 or 5 matchup. It really feels like one of those March Madness games where it could go either way and you wouldn't really be shocked. But then after that, it's like, oh, we got to go play Kentucky. We got to go play Duke. Right. Like, we got to go play one of the Blue Bloods. And that's what it feels like playing San Francisco or playing Dallas. But the good thing is, Lou, I do like how they set it up that the Eagles won't have to play until Monday night. In our next show, we'll have some semblance of an idea how things are going to go in the NFC. And maybe we're a little bit more positive. Maybe Dallas or Detroit gets upset, which I know Dallas fans aren't very happy.
That would change things. Like, if Dallas loses to Green Bay and the Eagles have a chance at a win going to Detroit, that would absolutely change my mindset.
I don't want to have to be the first playoff game that San Francisco has to play.
I don't either. And that's the thing, Gino. We're not being negative in the sense that we say there's no shot they can beat Tampa Bay.
Right.
We're being negative in the sense that compared to the expectations we had, they're not even close to being at a point where we think they can meet those expectations because we're focused more on the divisional round and the NFC title. And that's even tough to overlook this game because they might not win this game. So we're not being negative in the sense that, again, they have no shot at this one, but it wasn't supposed to be about the wild card round at all. So we're not going to be ever negative on the show just to be negative, but we're not going to be positive just to be positive and lie to people either. Like, right now, the vibes are not great and players are not giving me reason to believe. Like, Darius Slay saying that, and of course, you got to always take what Slay says with a grain of salt. He likes to joke around a lot and he's not very serious and just says what he shoots at the hip during these interviews a lot. And it's part of when you're a podcaster, that's what happens a lot.
Yeah, no kidding.
But again, it's just like it kind of continues the narrative and the theme of when players talk this year. It's just kind of soft, like Brown not talking to the media, the anonymous comments, a lot of finger pointing that's been going on this year. And now you've got Slay saying that like they don't want to get booed. They don't want to play at home because they might get booed. You should be like, we want to play at home and not give fans a reason to boo. It's like, it's almost like they're expecting to play bad and expecting fans to have a reason to boo. And that doesn't give me a lot of faith heading into Monday that this team's confident.
One thing is that if people pay money, they can quite literally like do anything they want as long as it's within the bounds of respect.
Give me a
like
break.
Booing is, come on, that's JV level taunting. Are we really getting upset about that? And I know people that like football and say it's like quote unquote a very tough sport. One, there's a lot of flopping, and two, if you heard the chants that go on in soccer games in like the Eastern bloc of Europe, you would be completely awestruck.
And
folks.
if you play great in this game at home, if you're playing at home, Gino,
you don't have to worry about it at all. Dude.
Right,
Just
and it's
play
the
good
then
and be held accountable.
And then suddenly you have the best home field atmosphere. You have the best advantage in the entire league. Like, why would you not want to try and take advantage of that? And again, I know it's Darius Slay. If Jalen Hurts were to say this, it'd be different. Or, Devontae Smith said he enjoys playing on the road too, but it was in a different light. He was saying more he likes to shut up the home crowd, which
yes.
I get what Devontae was saying.
His statement, yeah.
But
absolutely.
and again, like Chris Long said this on his podcast too, that the Eagles right now probably cannot handle playing at home because they probably will get booed. And I agreed with that, but then it was very discouraging to hear a player double down and say the same thing. It's like, you guys,
I said it, dude. It's
yes,
like tongue in cheek on yesterday's
But we
show.
should be the ones that are thinking that. They should not be thinking that way heading into a playoff game where you're still a favorite on the road. I don't want them thinking that boos might be coming. That means you're not confident you're going to be able to silence that.
That's what it really boils down to. It's like, are you really worried that you guys aren't going to go out there and perform? And
against Tampa Bay? Like, come on. This isn't San Francisco.
And you don't think that your fans are going to travel well? They always travel well to Tampa.
Yeah, Eagles fans are going to be in Tampa Bay. They've been there the last 2 times.
And you don't think they're going to boo you even louder because you said that? Come on.
Right.
Come on. Do you not know this fan base by now? And I think Eagles fans, one, do whatever you want. I think was it Trey Turner for the Phillies when they gave him like a standing ovation? I think it works. And then he turns around and he's like the hottest guy in the playoffs. That would be awesome, man. Like they go out there and boo him like tongue in cheek. And then all of a sudden they turn around with a great performance. But to say that you don't want to play in front of the fans at Lincoln Financial Field, it's the coolest environment you will ever see, regardless of sports fandom. Eagles, Vikings, 2017.
Yes.
You could feel the heartbeat.
Or even last year, man. Like I was in that stadium for the NFC title.
You were there too, man. Like
it's
you
something
felt
that you
it's a
can't.
Different environment.
Exactly, it's something totally different. And trust me, there's been times on this show that I've gotten after fans and saying that their overreactions are not fair. Like there is times that yes, players are totally justified in being upset with fan reaction, but this right now, this team has no justification for going after fans. They have every right now to want to boo.
Yes.
And for you to not want to play at home because of that reason is just, it's soft. And I'm not the guy that likes to call people soft in the NFL when I'm sitting here behind a microphone, but I don't love the vibes and I want to get excited for this game on Monday. I'm trying. And as you laid out, maybe if the Cowboys lose, that could get me juiced up again and I'll get there. By the time kickoff's there, I'll believe again, but it's Friday, Gino, and I'm still not there. I don't know about you.
It's like Monsters Inc. when they're trying to fill the scream tanks and like you just can't get anything going now.
I'm trying to build up the energy. It was like, I don't know if you saw the mic'd up when Frank Reich won his first ever game in Carolina, and it just this very awkward, like rah scream he had, and nobody reacted. That's kind of what I'm like feeling right now.
You're the real life Kawhi Leonard, like laughing gif.
Yes,
like I'm awkward. Trying to get excited. It's awkward. No, I feel you, man, and it's definitely a different feel. I don't think it's as bad as that Dallas 2009 because that team just was really. I don't think that was a good football.
There was no hope for that team. Yeah,
we have seen highs for this team, and it's like that last glimmer that we could get back to that. And Tampa is, I mean, Lou, like, would you want to play even at home the red hot Green Bay Packers, the red hot Los Angeles Rams?
No.
You're lucky that you're getting a team that has stumbled a little bit the last 2 weeks. Maybe this is that one spark, that last bit that gets you going. But Slay, all those guys, like you got to rely on the guys in the building, man. And that the Eagles fans will back you to the ends of the earth. They're not the guys that you want to spit on. That's
I know.
I will never say anything bad about Eagles fans because they're the realists, man. I truly love them, and I would not want to play at Lincoln Financial Field because when it's going
crazy.
well, it's the closest environment outside of Arrowhead, I would say, to like a European type of soccer event or one of those big stadiums where just you could feel it shaking down Broad Street. Like you're down getting a cheesesteak and you're like, oh, I know what's going on at the Link right now. It's mayhem. And you were there, man. And I know fans have been there and they'll tell your stories all through the years of going back to the vet and going to the Link. Why wouldn't you want to play their Slay? And
I agree.
Maybe something crazy happened. Could you imagine if all the wildcard teams win and the Eagles would host a playoff game?
I could see it,
how
man.
that would go.
I could see it. I could totally see it. But the Eagles, they have a long way to go still. They have a tough task on Monday night against Tampa Bay. We'll take a look at the injury report coming up next and a status report on Jalen Hurts, who did not throw in practice on Thursday. How do you look on Friday? Concern level for Monday night. All that and more coming up on this Friday edition of the Locked On Eagles podcast.
As we roll on, we first have to stop and take a message from our friends over at Game Time. Folks, the Eagles have a playoff game on Monday night, and if you're one of those diehards, and quite literally, if you go to this game, you are one of the most diehard of diehards. But if you want to get tickets, and in the easiest way and the most quick and seamless way possible, go to Game Time. They are the official sponsor of all the ticketing app here at the Locked On Podcast Network. I haven't gotten a ticket off of Game Time in years. And why is that? I stumbled upon them years before they even became a sponsor, and I was looking, and it shows you exactly what your seat is going to look like. If there's any obstruction, they will show you that as well. They have last-minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals, and you could get tickets even after the game kicks off. And you could have some peace of mind because even if somebody backs out of your ticket, they are guaranteed to give you one as well. And the Game Time guarantee always means that you'll get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So today, download that Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. If you're going to that game on Monday night, make sure you use Game Time. Use that code LOCKEDON. You can see from your seat. Get some flash deals, zone deals all over at Game Time. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
We thank you so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. Guys, want to let you know, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Eagles Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. Just 3 days to go until the Eagles kick off the 2023-2024 postseason. And Gino, when you look at the injury report coming out of Friday's practice, not great. I mean, there's some positives. I mean, Darius Slay was a full participant with that knee injury. So was Devontae Smith with the ankle. DeAndre Swift is a full go, and we know they're going to need him because Devontae's not going to be 100%. A.J. Brown did not practice as well. Jalen Hurts has that finger injury, so they need Swift. But when you look at it, like, yes, Hurts, full participant, Devontae Smith, full participant, but neither is going to be at 100%. A.J. Brown did not practice. Neither did Reed Blankenship, and you're already without Sidney Brown, who tore his ACL against the Giants. They're pretty banged up heading into this football game. Britton Covey as well had a groin injury, so he was a limited participant. Tampa Bay is too. Baker Mayfield didn't even practice on Thursday, but not ideal when it comes to the health of this team. This has been the most banged up they've been in a playoff since, I'd say, 2018 and 19.
2019 was surreal. I mean,
they were missing everybody.
Yeah, they
outside
were,
of Carson Wentz.
Then he got hurt, and
then he got injured 5 plays in. Yeah,
and then Josh McCown tore his hamstring and almost led them to a comeback, which was insane. Yeah. This one, I think we've kind of narrowed it down to who is going to have to take over this game.
I agree.
It's going to have to go through the run game. It's going to have to go through Jalen Hurts, and it's going to have to go through now DeAndre Swift, who is going to be back healthy, because you're probably not going to have AJ. Devontae's not going to be 100%. If that hand is still bothering Jalen, who looks like he's going to be wearing a glove on that
He didn't
hand
throw
for
at
the game.
all, Gino, on Thursday. That does not, and it's
He
going to be a
threw today
rainy
on
game.
Friday.
He
He
did.
thankfully did.
But that's tough. Like the second last day of practice, you don't throw, and it's going to be a rainy environment. I don't feel
And he
great
hadn't
about
thrown
that.
since Sunday before that. That's not something that you want to see.
Yeah.
But in the rain, I don't expect many shots downfield. If it is, I think they're saying a 97 or close to 100% chance of rain. It's got to go through that offensive line. And I think DeAndre Swift being healthy, maybe, just maybe, Lou, it was a blessing in disguise that he was a little bit under the weather and he didn't play in that game because,
He's
heck,
fresh.
man, you lose Sidney Brown, you lose Reed Blankenship, you lose AJ, all could have been avoided. It all quite literally could have been avoided if you just won the games you were supposed to.
What a waste, too, man. Like, they got blown
Dallas
out.
isn't going to lose to Washington. Why? That was never going to happen.
I know. And it was so obvious, and they're down 24-0, and all those guys are still in the football game. That was just such a waste, and so many guys got hurt as a result. And I think Brown will probably play in this game still. It's almost, I think this is a ice up. We'll see you on Monday.
You got to say what Brown. Sidney ain't playing for.
Yes, sorry. A.J. Brown is the one that's going to play, I think, even though he did not practice again on Friday. But yeah, that was a costly game, and it did not result in anything positive. So you're right. Jalen Hurts going to play. Devontae's going to play. I think Brown will suit up as well. AJ, that is. But this game is going to be all about the offensive line and DeAndre Swift. And they need, this has got to be an all-time game for Jason Kelce. And this might be his last ride. This might be, if they lose, this might be his last game in an Eagles uniform. They need him. Landon Dickerson, Lane Johnson, Cam Jurgens, Jordan Mailata. They need the big boys up front to carry them. Jason Kelce, by the way, named a first-team All-Pro in 2023. Since the 1970 merger, Gino, only one center has ever won a Super Bowl and earned 6 first-team All-Pros, and that's Jason Kelce. So they need that guy on Monday night to carry them.
I think they need that whole unit, man. This is the time for those guys. Why Howie invests so much, why they're multiple All-Pro players on that line, and just young and up-and-coming stars, and Landon Dickerson. It has to go through them. It quite literally has to go through them, because the pass game, I don't trust the coaches to scheme anybody else open. Devontae's not going to be at 100%. It's going to be in the rain. Is he going to be able to even get his footing out there? It's going to be one of those things where
of issues, Gino.
Everything for the Eagles, this is bad.
Yeah, this needs to be the game when they were after 2-5 in 2021, when they came out of Vegas and they just looked like a completely different offense that only was going to run the football against Detroit. That's pretty much the team you need to see on Monday. Because like you said, weather, bad. Injuries, bad. Coaching, bad. Everything about the passing game right now does not look good.
I would love to just see them get some power. Just run some QB power, running back power. Get my guys pulling on an island. Get Jason Kelce. Get Landon Dickerson. Get those guys out into space. And out in the open field, it's going to be slick. Make guys have to take DeAndre Swift down. And you say it's bad for the Eagles on the other side of the ball, Lou. Tackling in the elements, it's going to be big, because you look at Rachaad White, who does a lot of his damage in the middle of the field, the yards after the catch area. Mike Evans ain't small. Chris Godwin's ain't small. Though Chris Godwin, multiple Chris Godwins would be scary, but Chris Godwin isn't a small dude. It's a physical team. You're going to have to be able to tackle. You're going to have to keep your footing one way or another. And it doesn't really boil down to the Eagles having success in this game. But if they turn back the clock, we could have one of those performances where they tweet out one of the graphics where the Eagles have over 200 yards of on the ground, and their offensive line just milked the clock forever and ever. And that 9-minute drive that ended the game against Tampa, where it might be the most forgetful quarter ever this season. Why is that? Because the Eagles did what they had to do, and there wasn't any concerns. If they could get back to that, Lou, I think you're going to be in for a good one. And just play solid ball. I know it's going to be sloppy, but if there was ever a game to overemphasize taking care of the football,
great point. I agree.
This is it. This is the game.
Yeah,
that you have
this
to
can't
do that.
be. This is a win at all costs. This is not a style points game. This is not you got to win in this type of way. That was in the regular season. We said that a lot on the show, but this one, get a W no matter what you got to do. Yep. And if that means you have to look like the 2021 team that is extremely one-dimensional, then that's what you got to do. And Gino, I think that's what they're going to have to do on Monday, considering all the circumstances that are not going their way with the passing attack. Interesting, though, like Jalen is not going to be 100% in this game, but it's kind of crazy. This is only the third time in 15 years that an Eagles quarterback played every regular season game and got through to the playoffs
I
healthy.
didn't even realize that.
It was Carson Wentz as a rookie in 2016. They didn't make the playoffs. Then in 2019, he played all 16 games. Jalen Hurts, again, he was hurt all year, but he did make it through. It's incredible that only 3 times in nearly 2 decades an Eagles quarterback made it alive into the playoffs healthy.
We're going to need him to, just thrive now.
But he's
this is the
hurting
time.
now. Yeah.
His finger's hurting. I'm sure that knee is still banged up, but now's the time, man. These guys, they know that surgery's on the other side of the season, but if the season dies this week, might be getting it sooner rather than later. But you still got to have a little bit of hope because we have seen this offensive line just dominate at times.
Yes.
And like you said, this is out of the longest yard that's seen when the guards flooded the field and they're just playing backyard football in the mud. Like, just go out there and just have fun, man. Like, it hasn't seemed like they've had fun playing football in weeks. And
again, there's so many legends that might be done.
It's a kid's game. It's a kid's game, dude. Go out there and empty the tank. I'm with you.
We'll see what happens. Sidney Brown is one player that's not going to play in this game, and that really hurts the secondary. What's the plan at corner and safety against the Buccaneers? We'll get into that to wrap up this Friday edition of the Locked On Eagles podcast. Today's episode of the Locked On Eagles podcast is brought to you by Jace Medical. I know we come to sports to escape from some of the crazy realities of real life, but let's take a minute just to talk about preparing for real life. According to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of antibiotics right in the middle of the worst flu season in over a decade. That's scary. I can't imagine a more helpless feeling than a family member getting sick while a supply chain issue kept them from potentially life-saving medication that they needed. Thankfully, we'll be okay because of Jace Medical. The Jace case is a pack of 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, including UTIs, respiratory infections, you got sinusitis, skin infections, among others. This stuff could happen to anybody. Visit jacemedical.com and complete your physician encounter. It will be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medication will then be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. It's never been more important to be prepared than today. Go to jacemedical.com. Use our offer code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your order. Once again, that's jacemedical.com. Use our code LOCKEDON to get 20% off your order. All right, Eagles fans, we're wrapping up this Friday edition of Locked On Eagles, getting you ready for Eagles Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. The wild card round of the NFL playoffs gets going, and there's a lot of, what's funny, Gino, is this is the most I've been excited for these playoff matchups in the wild card, the most in years. The Eagles game is honestly maybe the one that I'm the least excited for, unfortunately. There's just so many good storylines and matchups on Saturday and Sunday. And then the week wraps up with just this slop fest in the rain. 2 banged up teams, one not playing great ball right now. We are truly covering, I think, the ugliest matchup of the wild card.
Wow, that's reality. Yeah, that's the reality.
That's a reality.
No, but I'm with you. I was thinking about that too. I was just looking at the landscape of it, and I was thinking back to 2 years ago when the Eagles were that last team in, and it was like, I don't know if the Eagles actually really deserved that spot. The Rams, man, they deserve that spot. I think Green Bay has been playing exceptionally well, and I don't think that's an easy out for anybody. Like I said, I wouldn't want to play either of those teams at home. No way.
2 of the hottest quarterbacks in the league right now, Jordan Love and Matt Stafford. I wouldn't either.
Dude, Jordan Love has been playing better than anybody in the second half of the season.
I don't want to guarantee one of them win, but I think at least one of them are getting a win on Sunday and Saturday.
Yeah, it feels like we're in March Madness. This is the second reference I've made to that, where there's the 5 and 12 matchups, and there's always one. It kind of feels like we had that in the NFC.
Yeah, those feel more like the 4-5 compared to the actual 4-5.
I totally agree. Yeah, I'm there with you. And even in the AFC, I think those are some good games with Pittsburgh taking on Buffalo. I mean, Pittsburgh, they're going to be without TJ Watt. They're on Mason Rudolph at
quarterback. Could be a blizzard, though, in Buffalo. I'm up there right now.
Exactly. Who knows what could go on in that game? And you talk about maybe the coldest game in Chiefs history between them and the Dolphins, and anything can happen this weekend, man. And that's why, as negative as we have been, we definitely have been a little bit negative. I know it's all
we've been objective and realistic. I don't want to say,
but we've been realistic. Yes, exactly. That's what it is. But in reality, Lou, this league changes in the blink of an eye.
Especially this year.
there's no guarantee in anything this year. In anything. I don't think in college football there was a guarantee. Look, Georgia, they were the number one team in the majority of the season. Boom, they lose in the SEC championship. Mm-hmm. Michigan goes out there and wins the Natty. This year, I mean, heck, who's to say Baltimore couldn't lose after the bye week? Who's to say San Fran can't? Quite literally anything can happen. But we are covering the ugliest of all the games, I have to say.
Yeah.
And if there's going to be a game that has an under bet at 43.5, I'll take that. I think Dallas and Green Bay is going to be a high profile, high shootout game. I think the same with the Rams and Detroit. And then you're going to sputter into a hurricane on Monday night where these teams are just slipping and sliding all over. And dude, we talk about playing fundamental football, but could this be one where it's like the team that doesn't have 5 fumbles wins the game?
I think that's
exactly
what it's
going
to be.
Wins the game. And it really could be. But at this time of year, different elements when it comes to weather, different environments, playing on the road versus at home, anything can happen in this season. Unlike when the Eagles won it in 2017, where it was like, I don't think a team outside of the Patriots really deserved to get there, and the Eagles definitely deserve to get there as well. Dude, you could make the case for any of these teams in either conference to contest. I mean, I still don't know how freaking Pittsburgh is there. That's like just
they might be the only
mind.
team that you can't consider.
But I mean, heck, 13 out of the 14 teams you can make an argument for that they could make a run at the Super Bowl.
I agree. And if the under, you mentioned the under for Eagles Buccaneers, if that is going to hit, the Eagles defense has to make at least a few stops in this football game. It's going to be tough.
I hope.
You know, you've mentioned a lot this week the matchup or the mismatch between the Eagles secondary and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. That's going to be a tough one. And you're without one of your, if not your fastest defensive back in the backfield, Sidney Brown, who tore his ACL against the Giants, so he's out for the year. And Gino, that's a more impactful injury than I think people are really talking about. Obviously, Sidney Brown wasn't a main starter throughout the year, but when Matt Patricia took over, they were using their young defensive backs a lot more. You saw a lot more nickel, a lot more dime, big dime penny. Like they had way more defensive back heavy approaches, formations on defense. And now without Brown, it's tough because I think you still want that approach. You don't want more linebackers on the field, but who do you put out there? I think for me, the best bet might be, because they're not going to bench James Bradberry, even though I think they should, maybe do what you did in Tampa Bay last time. Put Bradberry in the slot, Keely Ringo on the outside, and have Avonte Maddox play safety like you did back in 2018 for a bit as that third guy. That might be the best. Again, it's about getting your best 11 players out there. That's not the best fit for everybody, for Bradberry or Maddox, but I think that's your best 11 that you can get the majority of the time. And I don't know. I'm nervous about that matchup with Evans and Godwin.
Well, Kevin Byard did say today that Avonte Maddox has been back there playing safety next to him.
I didn't even know that. That's good to know. I like that.
Oh, you did? That was the first time that you had heard it. Well, Lou, it's not out of because, he's a good versatile player. They quite literally have nobody else back there. It's
because who else? Who's your other
Reed
safety?
Blankenship is out. Tristan McCollum was the guy who got the call up. He'll most likely get the call up this time around as well. But I think I'm with you as well, dude. Put your best 11 out there. And in this matchup, it may favor that you can do that you could be able to get by because you are playing two guys that are bigger bodied wide receivers.
Right. So Bradberry
does that. If you're playing, let's say Dallas, you're not moving them inside to go and defend Brandon Cooks. I mean,
or if you're playing the Rams and Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua in there, you're not doing that.
Yeah, no. And I think you could get by with him this game. Bradley Roby, I'm sure, will take some of the reps there as well. I'm sure Eli Ricks, but I think Slay has got to take one side. Ringo has deserved through his play, even with the ups and downs. I think he deserves it. I think it's got to be like a rotation element on the inside. Eli Ricks has had some good snaps this season. I think Bradley Roby at times has as well. And James Bradberry, they're not taking him off the field. Like that's reality. I think this is a good matchup for him, frankly. I really do.
No, I think, yes. Again, he matches up better right now with the bigger, more physical receivers because Bradberry, he doesn't have his speed, right? I mean, it's gone. So I think, but between Ringo and Bradberry, and I don't know if they're going to do what we're talking about, although with the Byard comment, that feels very promising that they might do exactly that. Ringo and Slay on the outside, Bradberry inside, Maddox as that third safety. But for me, like the logic too is, yes, Ringo, as you said, has been up and down this year, but so is James Bradbury. And if you had to bank
That's
on
right,
one
yes.
making an impact splash play like a turnover, which the Eagles, I know it's a foreign concept to this defense, but if one of those two you're going to bank on making a splash play on Monday, it's going to be Ringo. So to me, for that reason, I want him on the field.
I think Darius Slay just shadows Mike Evans. I think that's
I
the
agree.
best path forward. I think he's fully rejuvenated. That knee should be good and ready to go. I'm sure there will be some rust, and definitely Mike Evans will make some plays, but I don't want Mike Evans to be the reason that you lose this football game.
Yeah.
Like I said, if he goes off for 2, heck, even 3 touchdowns, you have lost this game. So we'll see. Matt Patricia, he's going to be in for a big assignment, man. This is one that not Jonathan Gannon, not Sean Desai has had to really go out there and face with a defense that you don't have the horses right now. It's going to be a big test, and if they could come out and get some stops, heck, hats off to Matt Patricia.
All right, next time we're on Locked On Eagles, Monday before the game, we will know the results of the Saturday and Sunday wildcard matchup. So we got that to talk about, LOE 3. One more preview show for you as we get you ready for Eagles Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. Thanks so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. For Gino Camilleri, I'm Lou DiBiase signing off. As always, thank you for downloading, thank you for watching and listening, and let's go Birds.
Fly, Eagles, fly.